Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Tuesday, December 13th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Peach Bowl game against Georgia is in 18 days, the game against Michigan in 347 days. We're going to start with a little bit of bad news on the recruiting front for the Ohio State football team. Five-star defensive end Keon Keeley committed to Alabama on Monday. He was one of four big-time defensive ends that Larry Johnson and the Buckeyes were chasing for the 2023 cycle. And to be fair, he always seemed like the longest shot of the four. So now he is off the board with a week and a day to go before early signing day. Of course, Joshua Mickens, Mateo Uiagalelei, and Damon Wilson are still in play. We're going to keep you up to date on all of them as we get a little closer to early signing day next week. Now, later on today, we're going to be talking to Ohio State head coach Brian Day about the Peach Bowl matchup with Georgia. And then tomorrow, we will finally get a chance to talk to Ohio State players for the first time since the day of the Michigan game. So we're going to have much more football coming later on this week. But for the moment, we're going to take a very brief diversion over to basketball, and there's a whole lot to talk about with both Ohio State basketball teams. First, worth noting very quickly that in case you haven't been paying attention, Kevin McGuff's women's team is currently 10-0, ranked number 3 in the nation. They just beat Michigan State on Sunday and will be back home to play the University of Albany on Friday night. And Chris Holtmann and the men's basketball team is 7-2. They're going to face off with North Carolina on Saturday in Madison Square Garden. That will be their first game since the dramatic buzzer-beating win over Rutgers last Thursday. Now, on Monday, Holtmann met with the media to share some updates on the team and preview that big game against the Tar Heels. First of all, there is no update right now on the status of Isaac Ice Likely. He is away from the team right now due to a family issue, and Holtmann has indicated that it might still be a little while, but hasn't really put a specific timetable on that. And Eugene Brown is still working his way back from a concussion. Doesn't sound like he's particularly close to being cleared to play either, so all right, that was a lot of information. Now on to this weekend's game, and the gap in the schedule was not an intentional thing. The Buckeyes again played last Thursday, not playing again until Saturday. And Ohio State assumed that the Big Ten was going to give them another league game following the one against Rutgers, so they kept this week open. And then the Big Ten didn't give them another league game this week. So Holtmann said that has at least provided them with a chance to get back to the basics before they turn their attention to the Tar Heels.
As far as this week, obviously, we anticipate potentially playing another Big Ten game, so there's a little bit of a gap in our schedule. So we're practicing and preparing for a really good North Carolina team that was obviously preseason number 1 in the country, deserving. They're talented, they're well coached. Schubert does a great job. And they present a lot of terrific challenges for us as we expected. So we'll dive deep into their preparation here towards the middle end part of the week. We'll continue to work on ourselves here, but obviously great respect for that North Carolina team, Hubert, and the challenge that will be presented on Saturday.
Now that big of a gap can present a challenge too. Teams with a long layoff like this can get out of rhythm, and it doesn't sound like Chris Holtmann is all that thrilled about it.
Yeah, I think the rest is good, Adam. I think the challenge is it's too big of a gap in the middle of the season. No coach would prefer to have this many days off in the middle of your this early in the season. We really need to be playing games, but the Big Ten decided to give us 19 games, as opposed to 2 on the front end. So it's not something that we necessarily would prefer. We need to figure out a way to stay sharp. We're going to have to do some things in practice. We have North Carolina and then obviously Maine a couple days later, who won at Boston College. So we've got 2 more games before Christmas, and we're going to need to do some things here in practice to keep ourselves sharp.
One of the big stories early in this season has been the emergence of freshman standout Bryce Sensabaugh. Now, he is currently averaging 14.1 points a game. That puts him just 0.2 of a point behind Zed Key for the team lead. He got his first career start against Rutgers, and Holtmann had enough confidence in him to even draw up a play for the freshman in the final minutes against Rutgers. It sounds like he's well on his way to a bigger role with the team moving forward.
Yeah, no, I feel like he's probably our best guy, at creating his own shot, and I think that's what you're looking for late in games is those guys that can create their own shot. And there's an art to getting a shot off against great defense. And he was being guarded by a really good player. I think if he'd have stopped maybe a half step early, I think he would have been able to get to get to a sweet spot there. But I've got tremendous confidence in his ability to do that. There'll be a number of guys we go to late that we've identified, but he'll certainly be one of them. I thought Bryce did a good job. I thought his attention to detail defensively was good. Griffin, and it needs to be good. I think it needs to continue to grow. His positioning was pretty good. Got beat on the glass a couple times, but all in all, that kind of performance in your first Big Ten game was really solid.
Playing without Likely for however long he's going to be out is not going to be easy, but what does Holtmann think they're going to miss most without Ice being there right now?
Just his impact defensively. I think that and some of his playmaking, his rebounding. I think we're going to have to figure out teams are going to really shrink the floor sometimes when he's out there. So I think we've got to figure out some areas there in terms of attacking offensively. But it's hard to replicate his physicality defensively, his ability to guard 5 positions. He's got good attention to detail. He's a really smart defender. And then he also does create some easy scores for us in transition with his ability to push the ball. So I think all those things we missed. Our defensive numbers were not great against Rutgers. I think in part, we did miss him not being there.
Tanner Holden was the hero of that Rutgers game with that buzzer-beating shot, and yes, the Big Ten later did come out and say, yes, the basket should have been waved off, but it wasn't. So Holden got his day in the national spotlight. So what will it take to start seeing more time for Tanner Holden? Where does he still need to improve?
Got to guard the ball better. Just got to be more just solid in what we do there. He's getting attacked too much. He's a good athlete, and he's capable of doing it, but too many defensive lapses right now.
That win over Rutgers was really the first time the Buckeyes were playing in a game that went down to the wire all season long. So how does getting a win like that really help them down the line?
Oh, I think it's a tremendous, can be a tremendous help. Because you're going to play in a number of those games. Now, are there going to be 19 of those games coming up? I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of them. The Duke game had the chance to get there if we could have cut it to 3 or 4 in those last 3 minutes where we had a chance to cut it from 5 to 3 or from 6 to 4. I think it had a chance to get there, but that was really our first that went down, I guess, to the last minute, so to speak. So to be able to, I think what I was impressed with our guys was I don't want to minimize the fact that Bruce had to go up and make 2 free throws to put us in that position. And then our guys really did do a good job spacing and executing off of that missed free throw, kind of what we were running, which allowed the defense to be a little bit spaced enough for Tanner to make that great shot. So that was good to see.
This weekend's matchup against the Tar Heels is going to be a challenge, no question, thanks in no small part to Pete Nance. Now, he is an Ohio native, also a grad transfer from Northwestern, so he's someone Holtmann knows very well. He's also one of 4 UNC players averaging 12 points per game or more this season. So what does he bring to Hubert Davis's team?
He's just a really good player. He's a really good player. He's a mismatch at 6'10", can shoot threes, can drive it, really skilled, can score in the long post, great length. It's a great pickup for them because he's a really good player and adds to just their backcourt's maybe the best backcourt in the country. Baycott's a tremendous player. They've got another team that can get to a Final Four. There's no question.
All right, and just a reminder that press conference with Ryan Day is set for a little after 11 a.m. on Tuesday. We're going to be streaming it live at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. And then we will have those live interviews with Ohio State players on Wednesday at about 10 a.m. on that same YouTube channel. So make sure you are subscribed there. And also make sure you're subscribed to BuckeyeHuddle.com. A fantastic team of insiders, recruiting coverage in the lead up to early signing day, team coverage in the lead up to the Peach Bowl, X's and O's coverage, again, in the lead up to the Peach Bowl, and, a potential national championship game after that. It is a very busy time there, very lively and active community there as well. Talking football, talking basketball, talking recruiting, talking whatever you want to talk. It's all there at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up today. Membership is $12.99 a month, which is really, when you think about all the silly stuff you probably spend $13 on here and there, a month of access to a team of insiders and a great community like that really sounds like a pretty good bargain to me. So sign up today, and even better idea, Ask someone to buy you an annual membership for Christmas. It is a very reasonable price, discounted off of the monthly rate, and you will be taken care of for the whole year. So treat yourself to a month or have someone treat you to a year. That's your choice. There are no bad choices here. So sign up today at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.